Good. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. So we'd like to call this regular scheduled meeting of the Santa Clara City Council to order. I'd like to welcome everybody who's here tonight. Appreciate you being here. I'm Mayor Rick Rosenberg. We have a full council present tonight. Councilman Jarrett Waite, Councilman Denny Drake, Councilman Krista Hinton, Councilwoman Krista Hinton, Councilwoman Lena Mathis, and Councilman Ben Shakespeare are all here. And we'd like to begin the meeting with an opening ceremony and pledge of allegiance. We've asked Councilwoman Mathis to lead us in that. Would everyone please rise and salute the flag?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are grateful to be gathered this evening. We are grateful for this beautiful city that we have to live in. And we're grateful for the recent moisture we've received in our mountains and would ask for Thou to continue to bless us with the moisture we need throughout the spring. We are grateful for those who work on behalf of our city and all the efforts that they put in. We ask that Thou would bless them and guide them in all of their endeavors. We're grateful for the wonderful neighbors and friends that we have and those that we get to represent in our city. And we would ask for Thy continued guidance that we might do the things and have discussions that will benefit them and meet the needs for them. We're grateful for the many blessings we receive at Thy hand. And this we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yeah. Thank you, Lena. Conflicts and disclosures, Council. Is there any items on the agenda tonight that you may have a conflict of interest that you need to disclose before we get started? If there aren't any, then we'll go ahead and go into the working agenda. We have no public hearing scheduled for tonight. So item 4B, the consent agenda. Council, you have before you the claims and minutes of the March 9th, 2022 regular city council meeting. Also the claims through March 23rd. Calendar events just shows our upcoming city council meetings in April. Is there not a work meeting in April?
No, we'll be in
Okay.
traveling that week.
Gotcha. So there is no work meeting, kind of pay attention to that. And then there is a proclamation to consider Arbor Day proclamation setting April 30th, 2022 as Arbor Day in Santa Clara. And I see Sherelle's got us a nice little packet up here, so thank you. Council, do you want to go through these individually? You want to take a motion for all of them at once?
I move that we do them all at once.
Let's go for it. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed, including the approval of the Arbor Day proclamation for April 30th, 2022 as Arbor Day in Santa Clara City.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Denny, excuse me, second by Ben to approve the consent agenda as presented. Anybody have any question on that motion? All in favor? Well, let's see, money item, there is the budget or paying the bills in there. So Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Ayes have unanimously. Thank you. I will sign this proclamation and get it to Sherelle. Did you want to say anything on Arbor Day, Bradley? Oh, she's here. Come on. Oh, no, you don't get off standing in the back.
Yeah, so this year for Arbor Day, it'll be starting at 5 o'clock. And then I have different time frames that everybody will be able to enjoy a lot of different things. The ending will be the movie and it will be Jumanji. So it should be a pretty fun day. We're gonna have a lot of games for the kids and families. It's gonna be more of a family event. So yeah, lots of fun things planned. So make sure you're there.
Hey.
That's just a sample of some of the stuff that, to let you know what we have going on.
Councilman Drake was asking me how to do the scavenger hunt.
You have to leave and then go outside and find all those things and check them off.
That's cool. That's a neat little packet, so thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, item C1, general business, Ironman presentation, approval of the updated Ironman interlocal agreement. Mr. Lewis and your trusty sidekick, Sierra.
All right, Sierra's here. For those of you who don't know, Kevin Lewis, I'm the Director of Tourism for the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office. Sierra is our Community and Partner Relations Manager, and she's been recently hired for us to do a better job of getting out in the communities and communicating all the things that are going on in tourism. We try to do our best, but we're spread pretty thin, as you can imagine, things that are going on here. So appreciate the time that we have tonight with you. We just wanted to take a minute as you're considering this interlocal agreement for the events and kind of give you all an update on what's happening with Ironman. Some big changes this year. And so just work my way through this presentation here. If this works. Oh, I have to turn it on first, don't I? I was instructed. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. It works. So over the last decade or so, we've held the event since 2010, Ironman events annually in the area, and seen about 120 million in economic impact over those 10, 12 years. We took 1 year off in COVID. We didn't want to, but conditions there made it a little tricky for us. But in 2022, we have 2 World Championship events that are coming, and we estimate the economic impact from those 2 World Championships to be about $80 million just in those 2 alone. So a significant year. In September of 21, we held our first Ironman 70.3 World Championship. We put in a bid to host that event, and we're able to do it even through the struggles of the pandemic. Had 3,500 athletes, about 11,000 visitors, and 87 countries represented in that event. They found their way here one way or another. They were bound and determined to compete. The feedback from them was fantastic. 96% said they'd recommend this event and this place. So that was great. And then you can see the economic impact from that event, about 18 million. Originally, that was scheduled to be a 2-day event. But with the travel restrictions and that with the pandemic, we condensed it back to 1 day and then ended up with that kind of impact. That event, if you didn't get to see it or haven't had a chance to look at this, go to Outside TV. You can still watch the broadcast. They did a 50-minute documentary on the World Championship, and it's phenomenal. I'm going to show you just a little clip, about a 2-minute clip of that, how that opens up, but it's worth watching, and you can see it for free. Just go to outsidetv.com and search for the Ironman 70.3 World Championship. But this just gives you a feel of what these events look like and what they do for.
In America's storied Southwest, at the meeting spot of the Mojave Desert, Colorado Plateau, and Great Basin, find St. George, Utah, a setting that has long epitomized and embraced a spirit of intrepid daring. The echoes of its ancestral settlers, the native Pueblos, are still heard and felt. Among the red sandstone cliffs and wind-carved canyons, it is here, a place of raw, time-worn beauty, that the best triathletes in the world have converged to test the endurance, strength, and will of the human body, mind, and spirit.
I always set big expectations for myself and big goals coming into a world championship.
You know you're going to finish with nothing left, and you know you're in for a tough day.
It's a nice course, but it's also a brutal course. It just kills your legs.
There's always going to be pressure. It's something I've had to work on personally.
I was just really, really focused. And I said, if you can't race like that, then basically don't even bother showing up in St. George.
I knew the pressure was on. I wanted to make it a hard race and see how it ended.
Since I've come into this sport, it's been a dream of mine to win a world title.
This land, shaped by the natural elements and rugged terrain that have tested and rewarded its inhabitants for generations, is a fitting stage for the 2021 Intermountain Healthcare Ironman 70.3 World Championship. Professional athletes race alongside their amateur counterparts. For all, it is the achievement and opportunity of a lifetime. 70.3 miles of swim, bike, and run await. The land of endurance is calling.
make you want to go out and do a triathlon. Yeah, again, that is broadcast all over the world, still available for anyone to see. And if you watch the entire show, take a box of Kleenex with you, sit down and enjoy it, because the stories of the athletes and what they do to accomplish these world championship events are incredible. Really, really good stuff. So we're excited about what's happening. And Ironman is also excited with what's happening here. They've become enamored with this destination. This participant has said, they've been to 47 plus Ironman events, and they said that this is the best hospitality they've seen anywhere. I think that's one of the things that makes this event so successful, is we have such good people. Our agencies and communities just get around it wholeheartedly, and everybody feels that, and they recognize it. And so that's a big piece of it. But they came to us just a month before we hosted the World Championship in September. They were struggling because of pandemic conditions. The next 70.3 was supposed to be held in 2022 in New Zealand, and they figured that things weren't coming together there. The communities there were not going to allow that kind of an event to happen based on the pandemic conditions, and they weren't going to be able to pull it off. And so the Ironman officials came to us and asked us if we would be interested in doing this again. And, we took a deep breath at that point. We were just a month out from hosting the September event and had our hands full already, but we didn't see how we could turn that opportunity down. And so we made some quick connections, and the community seemed supportive of it. And so I went ahead and signed on, excuse me, to do our second 70.3 World Championship, and that'll be in October of 2022. And then we moved into hosting the event, and while the dignitaries were here, the CEO, Andrew Messick, was here, and Diana Birch, who's the Vice President of World Championships, and we're out at Entrada at the VIP event, and Diana pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you for a minute about something, and I need you to trust me." And so I got Andrew, and we got Jeff Robbins from the Utah Sports Commission, and sat down at a table and started chatting. And they said, "This isn't, we've postponed our Kona event, that full distance Ironman event that's happened in Kona for 40 plus years, has never been held anywhere else. But they canceled it in 2020. They postponed it in 2021. And they came to us and said, look, we can't cancel this 2 years in a row, but it's not going to happen in Hawaii. They're not going to allow it to happen." And asked us if we would be up to the challenge of putting on that event. How do you turn down the most iconic endurance event in the world to come to your location, your destination? So we figured it out with a lot of help from the Utah Sports Commission financially, tourism dollars, and the support of our communities. We're gonna host that event, which will be really, really incredible. Jeff Robbins from the Utah Sports Commission said that's probably the biggest event to happen in Utah since the 2002 Winter Olympics, as far as a marquee brand. It's really a significant event, and we've seen that in the publicity. In fact, Forbes magazine just came up with an article just last week. The headline was "The Holy Grail of Cycling," and it was a picture of Snow Canyon on that front of that article. It talks about how there's all these iconic, every sport has its iconic location, like the St. Andrews Golf, the old course in Scotland, and Wimbledon for tennis, and yada yada yada. And then it goes on to talk about how Kona was sort of that iconic holy grail must-do course. But then it says, but there's a new one in town, and so this is the best new cycling course. It says it just says we're better than Kona because of the scenic beauty, and all the other things. Great article. Look it up in Forbes magazine. Just take a read, because there's some great stuff there. So we're seeing all kinds of publicity and talk about this area. I think the impacts of these events go far deeper than just the economic benefit. It's easy to talk about those numbers, but they go much deeper into the immediate impact and go clear down into the heart of our big economic development, because businesses and entities around the globe are looking at us and saying, wow, how are they doing this? How are they able to pull this off? So that World Championship will be May 7th. What we did is we took our regular race and just upgraded it from the North American Championship to the World Championship, and then everything with that gets upgraded. You have time for another video? You want to watch another one? So this is the theme video that we produced. We put this together and we send this out to all of the athletes and sponsors and everybody so that they can get a sense of what we're about this year and what the theme is.
The spirit of the land that birthed Iron Man is across the Pacific to meet the spirit of the West. With a golden glow of a new sunrise, with a spirit of renewal and endurance. The light of the Ironman World Championship embraces a new horizon. It is Kumakahi, a new beginning. The spirit of Kumakahi transcends place. What started in the west coast of Kona whispers across the sea, echoing through the windswept canyons of Greater Zion. Like their sister lands of Hawaii, this rugged terrain was rock from ancient seas and molten lava. Intense pressure and powerful upheavals transformed the rocky landscape. Persisting forces carved aspirational vistas where gods and goddesses were sent to land. Water and heat, wind and time continued to breathe an enchanting refrain. It's a call beckoning those who stand ready and choose to rise. Like rays of light breaking the horizon, we welcome you to a legendary experience that is different, yet the same. The light of achievement transcends place, and we are honored to host this spirit of legend and new horizons here in Greater Zion. In May 2022, shine your light in the land of endurance.
It's been really fun for us to be able to showcase this area and all the goodness that is around us, the beauty and the people and everything else through an event that just is so natural to the place that we live, and it just seems to fit so seamlessly into it. So we're excited for what's happening. We could go on and on about this stuff. I won't take too much more time, but you know, these events do so much more for us, like I say, than just that immediate economic impact. They raise the profile of the community, they create long-term investment, jobs, reduce taxes. And one of the biggest things I think is they create that energy and enthusiasm in our communities. People rally around it. They have a sense of inspiration and whatever. So it's really helpful. If you want to look at the course really quick, it starts in Sand Hollow. This will be a 2.4 mile swim in Sand Hollow Reservoir. And then they'll leave Sand Hollow. And I can show you this really quick. I think I have to turn that on too. There it is. Yeah, so they'll come out of Sand Hollow Reservoir. They're actually going to go south on the Parkway, SR7, down to Warner Valley Road, and then they'll turn around and come back up the Parkway and all the way to SR9, come down SR9 to Telegraph Street in Washington, where they come down to Washington Parkway, go up over the freeway, then they do a little out and back that takes them right into the heart of Washington, downtown Washington, their city office there, go out back to the Parkway and up into Green Spring, and then come back down to Red Hills Parkway, where they go over the bluff of Red Hills Parkway and then turn on to Snow Canyon Parkway here. They'll head up Snow Canyon Parkway and the first loop, go through Ivans down to Covassa Drive. So that's Center Street and Ivans down to Covassa, and then turn on to Old Highway 91 and head up the highway and Gunlock Road, past the reservoir all the way up to the wall. They call that the switchback there that takes them up to Vail, and then come back down SR18 all the way down to Snow Canyon Parkway again, where they turn right again and head back up the Parkway, turn onto Snow Canyon Drive and go up Snow Canyon. That's about mile 98 they're going to hit that Snow Canyon hill climb, which has got a lot of people, put some fear into people because they'll have already done this big climb, but you get to do that one. And then they come back down 18 and into town where they transition onto the run. The run course is a little different than it has been for any of our other races. They'll leave town from Town Square, go up diagonal across Bluff Street under the tunnel there and work their way up to Snow Canyon Parkway. And then they come down to 1400 initially, work their way through the neighborhood and then jump on the halfway wash trail, which comes down to Dixie Drive. We'll follow Dixie Drive down to a couple little loops here, but down to Mathis Park where they loop around and come back up and then head the wash all the way up to Snow Canyon Parkway and back down diagonal to town again, a little out and back at the roundabout there. They'll go down Tabernacle and come back. And then they turn around and do that loop again to complete a full marathon. The comments, we actually put the course on that side of town because it was a little flatter than going up over the bluff. But the comments on social media right now are this course is brutal. It's, after doing that bike, they're going to come back and do this run, and they're saying it's pretty tough. And you guys have seen the athletes out on the course already. They're already coming. They're training. They're so, these are world-class athletes who are coming to figure out how to do it, how to win. And so you see them all over your town. Timeline, for Santa Clara Ivans really starts about 8:45 on Red Hills Parkway in the morning. And then you can see the time the last bike will leave Red Hills Parkway at 2:21. They get Snow Canyon Parkway from 9 to 5:40. Center Street and Ivans from about 9:10 to 2:50. Old Highway 91 from 9:15 to 4:15. SR 18, basically 10 a.m. is the lead athlete and the last athlete at 6:45. And then diagonal, because it's got the run, first athlete will be out there at 11:15. And the last athlete crosses the finish line at Main and Tabernacle about 1:13 a.m. So a lot of road closures. We understand there's significant impact throughout town. And even though it may not hit directly into Santa Clara proper, all of your residents interact with these streets and have to get around. So we're doing everything we can to get notifications out to residents along the course. We'll get a mail notification. There'll be a website with all of the instructions for how to get around. Nothing will be shut down completely. There will be a ways around everywhere, but it is going to take a little bit of navigating for folks. And we hope we can get the word out and plan on that. And then we encourage everybody to volunteer too. The volunteer registration's up. You can go to our site, ironman.greaterzion.com, and click on the volunteer link there and register for that. We had registration open up and about 2,000 people signed up in the first week, but we need about 4,000 or 5,000 to do it. So keep them coming. And there's some links if you want any other information. We'll have all the information posted at the ironman.greaterzion.com site too. I took a long time, Rick. Sorry. I get excited about it.
You bring movies like that, you can come every meeting.
Any questions or anything I can answer for the council?
Council, we do have an agreement. I think it's in your packet. Matt's looked at it. Everything's good with it, Brock?
Yeah, there was just the updates to the dates to the new events, and then there's a couple changes Lane we took out with Cotton Days and added in Swiss Days and a few things that way, but other than that was good with the agreement.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin regarding the event or the agreement, council? Kevin does a great job.
This is a big deal, Mayor. I went to Kona.
Did you?
And watched them beat the drums and it's pretty cool highlight in my life. It's so yeah, this is awesome.
It's pretty remarkable that 12 years ago, not many people around here even knew what a triathlon was, and now we're hosting 3 world championships. And the folks we're working with at Ironman, Diana, who's in charge of it all, she says this isn't just a pass through. This will be the best world championship. We hope we intend to do that, make this the best one that we have. And even though it's not got the mystique of Kona, they're going to learn about our brand of endurance and our hospitality. And I think we're going to show the world some exciting stuff. So thank you for your support. Your community has just been fantastic, and your, Parks and Rec, Public Service, and all of those folks that get involved are just, we really just appreciate the good support that we get in these kind of things. We know it's a little bit tricky sometimes, but it's kind of fun. It's what we're made of, I think. It's what brings us to life. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, council, if anybody doesn't have any questions, I'd look for a motion regarding the interlocal agreement.
Mayor, I'll make that motion that we approve the Ironman interlocal agreement as presented.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Ben and a second by Krista to approve the interlocal agreement as presented. Any question on that motion, council? This is an agreement. Let's do roll call. Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you, Kevin. I'll get this signed and you can get a hold of Brock and get a copy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's get them street banners up. Okay, thank you, guys. Item C2, council is consider amending the final plat for the Giovengo commercial subdivision located approximately 3663 Pioneer Parkway. Melanie Hushcroft is the applicant. Jim, are you there?
I am. How are you this evening?
Good. How's Kanab?
Nice. I think it's about 70. It's supposed to be 80 tomorrow. Are you coming Friday?
I'll be there Friday morning.
There you go. So it's nice. We're going to go out and have dinner after this. So
You got the helm, Jim.
what's that?
You've got the helm.
All right. Thank you, Mayor and council members. We're here this evening for this project, plat amendment, as the mayor indicated. If we can go to the original plat, the original subdivision plat included a total of 3 lots. I believe this is it. That is it. You see lot 1, that is where the Dollar Tree is. Lot 2 is where the O'Reilly's is currently under construction. And lot 3, in this case, on this plat, if I'm reading it correctly, is where the Quenchit is. Now I'd like to go to the amended plat, the proposed plat that has been submitted to us. And so here, and I may have messed on that numbering, but this is the amended plat that's been proposed to us. There's a lot 1A and a lot 1B. On lot 1B is where the Quenchit is located. Lot 1A would be the separate lot. Both lots are 0.67 acres in size, just under 30,000 square feet. The applicant, Melanie Hushcroft, has decided that she's going to just stick with the building that's been done so far for her Quenchit location and lease those spaces and sell the development right or the vesting of the project, the remainder of the project, to another group or another individual to do the second building on lot 1A. As you recall, there were 2 buildings as part of that approval. And then lot 2 is where the O'Reilly's is, and lot 1, in this case, is where the Dollar Tree is. The other thing that we're changing between lots 2 and 1B, you'll see a 50-foot ingress and egress easement for access to and from Pioneer Parkway. That is the correct access. That is where it's been built. The old plat showed access off of lot 1 on the very western end of the site, perhaps going out on Pioneer Parkway. And then you can see the other accesses. I believe they're 30 feet on lot 2 and even wider on lot 3 behind the Dollar Tree that goes to Rachel. So that access remains. The access going behind the O'Reilly's remains. The primary point of ingress and egress to and from Pioneer Parkway is between lots 2 and 1B. And then there'll also be a 25-foot ingress and egress cross access behind 1B, providing access for the future building and parking on lot 1A. So in a nutshell, the applicant's proposing to divide lot 1 to allow for 2 lots. She would keep 1B with the existing building, and another owner or developer would finish it off and do the building on lot 1A, which has been approved, and they will have to develop according to plan. If they decided not to do that, they would have to come in and do an amendment and go through a planning commission and city council process. We don't have any issues of concern for this particular project. Neighborhood responses, we did send a notice out to the property owners within the Geovingo subdivision, which is required as per state code. We also posted the property as per state code. We didn't receive any written responses or phone calls. However, on March 10th at the Planning Commission meeting, we did have an adjacent resident come to the Planning Commission meeting and voice her concerns related to the Quinchett Ground opening with all the cars and the backup on Pioneer Parkway. We believe that's a one-time event because they were giving away free drinks and everything else. And then there was also concerns about the parking for the overall site. Now, I've done an overall parking calculation and it exceeds our parking requirement for the overall development, 4 lots here by 22 spaces. So we do meet code for parking. If a council member or two wants more information, I can drill down and give you specifics for each site, but we do exceed the parking requirement by 22 spaces. We think we're good. And we believe the spillover traffic onto Pioneer Parkway was a one-time event. We've met all state road code requirements with this application. Therefore, the planning staff recommendation is as follows. On March 10th, 2022, the Planning Commission held a public meeting and forwarded a recommendation of approval to the council. Planning staff recommends that the Santa Clara City Council approve the amended final plat for the Geovingo commercial subdivision, subject to the conditions as outlined in the report. So we have 5 conditions that are specific for this one. A little bit different being that it's a commercial subdivision plat and we have multiple ownership involved here. Eric McFadden, who is the project engineer and a representative for the owner, is in attendance if the council has any questions for him regarding the surveyor subdivision plat that has been done. That's what I have for this evening. Mayor and council, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim, council?
I have one. Do you know where the dumpsters will be located? Where that's on lot 1A? I think that was supposed to serve both properties.
It is. That's a great question, Councilman Wade. It is on lot 1A and it is intended to serve both properties, as is the parking. There's kind of some shared parking. There's parking oriented for 1B. There's also parking for 1A, but that dumpster location is shared and there could be some spillover parking between the 2 buildings as well. That's our understanding.
So they're going to build the parking lot for 1A at the same time?
Yeah, they'll have to finish that. They haven't done the parking lot, or I was out there the other day. They poured the asphalt? I know the dumpster's there. Have they done any of the asphalt yet for the parking in 1A? I'm just asking anybody who's driven by this week if they've seen that. I'm not sure. The representative could tell us as well.
Yeah, Eric, come up and kind of give us an instruction.
Hi, Eric McFadden with Premier Design. The asphalt was completed to the backside of the dumpster.
Okay.
To the west side.
So the dumpster enclosure's there and it's paved around to the dumpster.
Correct.
Okay. That answer your question?
Yep, that's perfect.
Any other questions for the applicant or for Jim? Good to see you, Eric. Thank you. Okay, council, if there's no further questions, you've heard the staff report and the recommendation from the staff. Planning Commission, anybody want to make a motion?
I would move that we approve the amended subdivision plat, including the recommendations from the 5 recommendations from the Planning Commission.
I will second.
Got a motion by Denny and a second by Jarrett to approve the amending the final plat for Geovingo commercial subdivision, subject to the conditions that were presented in the staff report. Is there any question on that motion? Let's see, roll call. Jarrett?
Aye.
Benny?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Eric. All right, item C3 is consider approval of resolution 2022-03R, setting a policy for designation of eligibility status for tier 2 elected officials. I don't see Chris in the audience.
Yeah.
Brock.
So recently we had a URS audit, happens about every year. They come in and do an audit. And in one of the findings was that we needed a policy stating the eligibility of tier 2 elected officials, saying they're, in essence, that they're not eligible there and for the benefit of URS. So we're just adopting that policy to come in compliance with what the recommendation was from the audit.
Okay. Council, any questions on this? If there's not, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2022-03R, designating eligibility status for tier 2 elected officials.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Lena and a second by Krista to approve resolution 2022-03R and set a policy for designation of eligibility status for tier 2 elected officials. Any question on that motion? Says resolution, roll call. Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Ayes have it unanimously. Thank you, council. Reports, mayor and council reports. Ben?
Mayor, I had the privilege to give a few words of advice to the cyclists for the True Grit. It was awesome. I think it helped them go a lot faster, not wreck as much. So that's crazy. There's like 850, Brad, you probably know better, participants in that. And it was, some of those were going 100 miles. That first group out went 100 miles on mountain bikes that day. But it was awesome, well organized, and pretty positive event. So fun to be a part of.
Good deal.
And Gary, how are we looking on our next power line? We're having power issues with all this wind. I was waiting for the generators to kick on, but they didn't. So no, I'm kidding. I don't want to put you on the spot, but no, that's all I have.
Okay, questions for Ben? Lena?
I only have two things. We are preparing for the fair. So just as a reminder, the fair is next month. It's in April. So we will have a booth at the fair. And then second, I thought I'd give a quick legislative update. The governor is signing bills almost daily. There's several that we're still watching to see if he signs before they go into effect, but there are a few that do go into effect that he has signed. One is the water conservation modification, which was House Bill 121. That is in place. We probably comply with most of that, but there are some limits to time of day watering for subdivisions of the state, which we would have to comply with, as well as if we construct any new buildings, we have to comply with a limitation on turf and a few other things. So
On public building.
on public buildings. So we would want to just be aware of that. And then another one was SB 89, which was the water amendments bill. That is the one that requires each municipality to have or each water use supplier to have a water conservation plan. I think by us putting ours into place, we've met most of that requirement. There's some requirements for filing with the state of Utah and disclosing what our fees are. And so we would need to meet those requirements. But otherwise, I think we're actually ahead of the game because we've already done that. And then the last one was House Bill 242, which was the secondary water metering requirement that was passed and it's in place. So we'll have to comply with that as well.
And for the most part, we do. Yeah, we does.
Yeah.
Perfect. Those were all my updates. The other four big ones, the biggest one being the Garrity bill, which was House Bill 399, and the Utah Housing Affordability Bill, which was Senator Waldrop. Those are the two biggest ones. He has not signed, the governor has not signed those yet, but when he does, we'll review the highlights of those and I'll let you know.
Great.
Otherwise, that's all I have.
Thank you. Krista?
I
Anything?
don't have anything.
Danny?
I need to let you know that the solid waste district has put out some RFPs for some major changes to be done at the landfill. These are just to get estimates as to the costs before we take it to the public and to us. And we're waiting for that to be back in April 15th.
Okay. Anything else?
I think.
Sure.
I had a CEC meeting this week, Community Education Channel, and we didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't vote on anything, but we just had an informational meeting and discussed a plan to change some of the structure of the CEC, to bring in a part-time general manager to help with kind of rebranding and a new vision for the station with everything going on at the university. And so we're actually pretty excited. It's actually the gentleman that runs the radio station on campus, and he just rebranded the radio station and has worked with the FCC on a lot of things. And so that should help the community education channel. Hopefully it'll have a new name sometime soon too, so people know what it is. And then I was also invited to a garden meeting last night that Brad ran, and it went really well. They had most, if not all, of the service missionaries there that will actually run the garden this year. And they made plans for getting seeds and getting stuff in the ground pretty soon. I believe is it on Friday there's a meeting. So they really are like getting right on it. So we're getting close to planning time. And then just as a little side note, I think we'll get a lot more information on this in a meeting that probably our next work meeting. But I asked specifically about the trees. And, you know, those people have worked in the trees for years. And they said about a quarter of the orchard produced over half of the fruit that the whole orchard made. So there's a lot of trees that are old, diseased, they need to be torn out anyways. And so they were all in agreement. So just take out all the trees and start over, that it's kind of time to do that anyways in the orchard. And so that's just coming. Just be prepared for that. And I said, you know, I just envisioned pitchforks outside of our meeting if we approved that. And they all said, we'll vouch for you. It's the right thing to do right now. So I thought that was really interesting. And they know of anyone, you know, what's the right thing to do with that orchard. So be prepared for that. And then,
do we know when that's coming?
I think it's to be determined. It's really up to us, to be honest. There was some discussion of like, let this harvest happen and then cut them down, or start cutting down in the next month or so and leave the stumps and tear out in the fall. So it's a little bit flexible, I think, but we'll get some good advice before we make that final decision. So, and that's all that I have.
Thank you, sir. I went to the MPO meeting, the Dixie MPO planning meeting. And I'm still trying to encourage the MPO and the Transportation Commission to help us advance the funds for the environmental assessment on the Western Corridor from Old Highway 91 down to Gap Canyon Parkway. We did get some money, I've told you before, but it's not accessible until 2025. There is a program where we can actually get a loan from the Highway Commission to proceed with it early, and then they get paid back when the funds come from the MPO in 2025. So we're trying to accelerate that. I'd really like to get the environmental work at least started on the Western Corridor for that segment, because it takes so long to get it completed, and the longer we wait, the more traffic we're going to have to deal with in the downtown on Santa Clara Drive. So we're trying to push that one ahead. The Highway Commission is going to be in town tomorrow and Friday. They do have some public open public meetings first thing Friday morning over at Washington City at their town office downtown. If anybody's interested in that, I think it starts at 8:30 over there. They travel around the state as they meet monthly, and they're down here this week, so on Friday, if anybody's interested in that. We do get good support from them in Southern Utah, so we appreciate them. And we'll keep working to try and get that EA accelerated. Dustin and I had a planning meeting with the Graveyard Wash Reservoir today. We got an update on where they're at with the design. And, you know, me and Dustin showed up to one meeting and the project got delayed a year. It's magic, but they've run into some of the same environmental issues that we ran into on the BLM RPNP for the park. They've found tortoises out there now. They had to update their tortoise study. That sounds familiar, doesn't it, Brad? And they found some where they didn't find any before. And so now the BLM is making them go through a full study and also look for the plants. They can't work during flycatcher windows, even to do the drilling. They were hoping to get in there and get the drilling done. But as a result of the tortoise survey, they probably won't be able to get in there and start on the drilling until late fall of this year. And then the design can start on the reservoir. So they're pushed back a little bit. They have, they're working on some right-of-way acquisition with the Hafen family to come in off Old Highway 91. They asked if the city was interested in maybe a future park out there along the reservoir. Jeff Lance indicated they're going to try and keep this reservoir relatively full during the year and have it for a reserve. So during an extreme drought condition, they would be able to access the water in it. So that's something that we may want to think about. And I've asked the staff to probably look at the annexation again that we've talked about. I've been approached by representatives from the Rosenbrook Trust saying now may be a good time for them to move forward with an annexation to be able to pick up the Rosenbrook property and the irrigation company property that are in the county and possibly pick up some property around the reservoir at the same time. So we'll bring more to you in the future on that one. The reservoir is literally, if you look at the pump station and the water tank, the dam is right next to the tank. In fact, they have to move the tank to build the dam. That's how close it is to the pump station. So it's right in our doorstep to the power plant, Earthville Reservoir. So anyway, Dustin and I have been invited to go to those meetings. I plan to attend. Dustin's going to be there. We're going to pay a lot of attention to the engineering reports. They're just getting ready to start the drilling. So we're going to pay close attention, and they're involving us in the process. And so I appreciate that. It is a St. George City project. It's not a water district project. So it's St. George City project. Does help us with the agreement with the Santa Clara Irrigation Company, and we'll have a lot more discussion on that in the next couple of months as well. So we have a meeting with the irrigation company on April 13th. So you'll see that's the same night as City Council, and I've instructed Brock to keep that agenda light so that we've got time to attend that meeting if you want to. So any questions on that? I've instructed the staff to start looking at the ways that we're going to be able to expand the secondary system in the city, not just for new development, but for existing development, existing residents. And so Sunrise is looking at a master plan for a secondary system. We may even bring some projects back that are beyond the new development. These would be to bring secondary water into some of the areas of the city and make it available for residents to connect to. We've got some agreements we got to put together with the canal company and some shares we need to be able to purchase. There's a lot of work to be done, but we're going to start moving that direction fairly quickly. I think that's all I had.
Mayor, do we know if will they bring all the reuse up or just a certain amount?
Well, the irrigation company has an agreement with the St. George City that St. George City provides the wet water. They can do it either from the Gunlock Reservoir, the irrigation water from the reservoir, or reuse. The pipeline is designed to facilitate both. Over time, you'll see with the new plant, they built an arsenic plant out by Gunlock, St. George City did, to give them the ability to treat surface water from the Santa Clara River and well water from St. George has a well field out there, and to be able to deliver that culinary water into the city. When they do that, they decrease the amount of surface irrigation water available out there to the users, and so they replace that with reuse water from the plant. That's how that system, and this reservoir will store both. When they have excess river water, it can go in there, and then they'll fill it up with reuse water and probably keep it full with reuse water through the season.
And then out at the Fort Pierce will be a major reservoir for reuse that they'll fill that. It'll be a huge reservoir And that will be reused water that will be used throughout the county,
Yeah, the Warner Draw.
Warner Valley.
Yeah,
Out in Warner
big
Valley.
Reservoir in Warner Valley. And then the dry wash reservoir in Ivans is kind of on the same timeline as the Santa Clara one is, or the Graveyard one is.
So those three will add
They'll add
fairly
quite a
significant
storage.
amount of
The Warner Draw is the big one. These two on this side help. They're relatively small capacity wise. The Warner Draw is a large one, but they're having some fairly significant environmental issues on the Warner Draw one right now.
Warner Valley started in 1950.
Yeah. It's a lot older than any of us, and they still can't build it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens over there. Zach gave a really good presentation to the American Society of Civil Engineers and Public Works officials, but he named the reservoir after me, which I wasn't really thankful for. It's Rosenberg Reservoir. And so I said, when Santa Clara develops the wastewater treatment plant, it's going to be the Renstrom plant.
My grandma used to always say fools' names and fools'
Yeah,
places.
I said, you put my name a lot of places. Don't put it on a dam.
There.
Any other questions, council? Let's look around the staff. Chief, anything? Everything went good with the bike race? I always ask that question.
Yes, it did, and there was a lot of people. And we went them out 3 stages and it went really well. We're on track with everything with Ironman. That's a lot of work, I'm telling you. Trying to figure egresses and those kinds of things on people's neighborhoods. They're not real happy with all that, but it went okay. Scott's been working really closely with Sergeant Briggs on our code enforcement. It's going extremely well. We're really pleased with that program. What I'm doing right now is I'm working on a report that I'm going to give to Brock, and we're going to come to you and give you all the crime stats, where it's going on, and see if we're doing it the way you want us to do it. If you've got any thoughts and ideas on that, and it's going to be really interesting for you, but we want to give it to Brock first to see if it's something that he wants us to bring to you. The South Hills is going well. Haven't had any problems at all. We're still getting shooters out there, but they've been really great. We just say, you can't do that. They understand and they move on. But we're starting to see some long-term campers up there. They get back over the top of the hill and they get back in there. And we're trying to work with BLM a little bit. They're not all that interested in it at this point. They've got problems over towards Zion Park and other places that are enormous. So we're working on that right now. But things are going pretty well. But man, we're hopping with special events. It's crazy. But that's okay. We can do it. It's not that, we got it. So
okay.
I met with the new fire chief. Pretty excited to have him on board. We're talking about emergency plans. I'm trying to pawn it off on him, and he seems eager. So I'm going to give it to him. But anyway, I look forward to working with him.
Questions for Chief?
I had a resident call on, they've got neighbors and I won't, that bring in U-Hauls about once a month full of new product and then do yard sales.
Yeah, we're familiar with that.
Okay, I didn't, it sounds like you're aware of it. I just wanted to make that aware that it's ongoing. It was a complaint. I don't know the whole, where the city stands on it, what's legal, what's not, but I know it's been a concern of theirs that it's on, I mean, it's new packaged material and then goes out as a yard sale from the.
We actually got that information from Scott, who gave it to Sergeant Briggs, who went up and actually met with the landowners. And they're great people. They didn't quite understand the rules. We have to come down and get a business license, and it'll go to TRC. TRC will make some decisions on that, but they understand. They understand you can't have a garage sale every Saturday, even though you'd like to. And they're just trying to supplement their income. But we understand that you can't do that unless you have the proper licensing and go through the correct procedures on that. They've agreed to do that. And so we're working on that. But as soon as Scott brought that to us, we got on that. So
fantastic. And that's what I thought. It was just more paperwork and going through the process. But again, how that.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Right. And we told them, you got to be a good neighbor about the way you park and what you do. And, sure, you're making a little bit of money, but it's a disturbance to your neighborhood. And it's in kind of a weird location. So, but they're great to work with. We'll work with them and see what happens. We'll just see. But we're on that. So if your neighbors complain, just let us know. We'll get right on it.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Bob, council?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. It's good
Yeah.
seeing you.
Thank you.
Bradley?
Thank you. Just quickly, I'd like to make a comment on the True Grit race. This year it was fairly large and very successful. We didn't have any incidents like Chief had told us. Next year it's grown to the point where they're thinking 2 weekends, 1 weekend for the mountain bike events, the 100 mile, the 50 mile, the 25 mile, and then another weekend possibly for the what's called the gravel race, which is the long distance one where they go out by Bloomington Caves, out Navajo, all the way to Mataqua, back out. They did it on Sunday this year, but because of being on a Sunday, they didn't have a very good attendance. Last year they did it on Friday, but it was a lot of traffic and a lot of issues, going down Dixie Drive to get on Navajo. So just to make you aware that that's what they're going to ask for this coming 2023.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Brad?
No, that's it. I think Jared covered the garden discussion very well. Thank you.
Any questions for Brad, council? Thank you, Brad. Christelle, anything? One of these days you're going to have something for me. Gary?
Just three things. I sent an email for the UAMPS toolkit, and I just don't know if anybody else was interested. I haven't heard back from everybody, but if you're still interested, go to that toolkit on April 20th. It starts at noon. They provide lunch, and it goes to about 4:30. So just let me know if you'd like me to register you for that.
That's typically a good event, council. And I bring you a speech, especially Krista, for you.
Registered.
Atta girl. Because I kind of go through all the projects.
Yes. So it's a good toolkit. The next thing is just an update on our generators. I found out, I was letting UAMPS know that we're getting 2 new generators so they can schedule it for the summer. And I was not aware of this, that we need to do some permitting with Rocky Mountain Power, not Rocky Mountain Power, but Pacific Core with the transmission, do some kind of a transmission agreement. I don't have all the information yet, but she's Rachel with UAMPS. She's over the transmission. She says it could hold us up from running this summer. So I'm trying to work out those details. And if we're pushing out onto the system, even if we're not pushing out on the system, she says we need to wait until we get the okay from Pacific Core to do so. I've already started the paperwork that needs to be done to do that. I don't know what else to tell you. Just that I'm surprised I didn't know anything about that. Anything over 5 megawatts of generation, you have to go into an agreement with Pacific Core.
I would think
Even if we don't use their transmission lines?
Where we're connected to the grid, anything that impacts the load in the southern area, it concerns them.
Okay, if we need to get involved, let us know. I would think that it would be to everybody's advantage to get as much local generation on the system this summer as they could. So there shouldn't be a reason to delay it at all. It should be something they should be able to fast track.
I would think so.
But if we need to make a few phone calls or whatever, let us know.
Well, they're only running 2.5 per generator. Maybe you just fire them up one at a time. We're only doing 2.5 megawatts at a time.
Well, I was just thinking, that right now they do need to have access to our SCADA as well, so they can see our generation, but we can hold the SCADA off until after summer, so they can't see when we're running. I don't know.
Mary, you just nod. You don't say anything.
So we'll work that out. We're getting that ironed out.
I imagine.
Rachel with UAMPS said she would push to get this done as soon as possible. Rocky Mountain Power, Pacific Core, they are requiring a 1-year notice to do this. And so we're way past that. So anyway, we'll be working with them on that. The last thing is our power tour that we want to do next Tuesday. We still on for that? Whoever wants to come. My crew is scheduled to do the annual maintenance up at the Veo plant that week. So my crew won't be around, but if you would like, we could run up there. It'd take us about an extra hour to run up to the Veo plant. You can see the Veo plant, see what they do up there if you would like, but we can discuss that.
I'd keep them in town. It's an hour would be going way too fast on that road. That road's pretty rough up to the Vale plant.
It's not too bad. From here, it's only takes about 45 minutes to get up there.
But can you get inside to see it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I guess I want to go back to this. We didn't have to permit anything through Pacific Corp when we put the first generators in. Why? Where we're not using any of their transmission or anything on their grid, I would tell you to disregard it and just move forward. But that's not
well
kosher.
The other thing is that when we got the first approval with them, it would have been for 4 generators.
And that I don't know. Where 2 of them were Washingtons, there may have been a way around that where only 2 megawatts were Santa Clara and 2 were for Washington.
Check that too, because if we got the permit for the whole thing before to cover those that generation, then but anyway, do what you can do, Gary.
Yeah, well, we didn't permit anything on the first ones because we didn't have to, because we were under the 5 megawatt total. And that's assumed how we got around that is because 2 was ours.
And 2 was Washington's.
We didn't have each city did not have more than 5 megawatts generation. So, yeah.
Okay. Don't take the foot off the gas with Wheeler though.
Oh, no. No, we'll get them going. Okay, that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, Chief. See if you can bail Gary out.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council. So just on our staffing, we have 3 flyers with the help of Christelle and staff that are now on the website. They did a great job on putting those higher flyers out. We did go out nationally with that as far as our advertisement. So those are open for firefighter, paramedic, or seasonal wildland firefighters and fire captain. So those are open, and again, it did a great job on developing the flyers and making them, appealing. So those are available to view on our website currently. Regarding our response, so last week the State Bureau came out for EMS, and we were able to certify our engine for medical response. So you'll see that out in town. We'll now have the fire engine running with 2 people on it. It is certified for all of the ALS type of medical procedures we would provide, and then you'll have that medic ambulance. So when the medic ambulance falls up to the hospital, you'll have that engine in town. So that's helping just by changing some things around, using our current staffing to help with that drawdown when 2 calls come out. So I'm excited about it, and those are kind of the highlights for this last week. So
when do the wildland guys go on?
It'll be May. So we do
first part of May.
Say again.
First part.
Correct. Yes. So we'll have interviews all through April, and then some will trail into May for the firefighter medics. June 30th, we're anticipating the firefighter medics to start, and then the captain position immediately, and then wildland in May. So there'll be 5 wildland firefighters we'll have in town. Unless they get deployed, then they're gone. But yeah.
Okay.
So.
And are they still interested in doing some of the river/pile burnings before they get deployed?
Yes. Yeah. That's part of their typical daily duties will be that fuel mitigation. So we're definitely in communication. There's a grant, as a side note, a grant that we're getting with the member in Kayenta and burning and doing some stuff up in Ivans. So there's different assignments they'll have. Yep. And they're available for whatever.
We may have a project over by Washington Dam that the Virgin River Programs asked us to do, and we've done work for them before.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think it's compensated, so I'll get that info to you.
Okay, appreciate it.
Questions for Chief? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Dustin?
The Public Works Department has got to get crack seal done on Santa Clara Drive, the downtown portion, that's just the 2 lanes. We've done it in the past in the middle of the night. We will keep the road open with flaggers for 1 lane. So that's gonna happen this Thursday night. They should be off the road by 5 or 6 a.m. Just to make you aware of that. I don't foresee any problems. It's worked well in the past. And that's all I have. Anything for me?
I have a question, but I don't know if it's for you or if it's for Cody. The construction up on Pioneer for the movement of the water or the new water lines
Sewer.
or sewer. Okay. Is there any requirement? I know there's requirement for dust control, but is there a requirement for them on weekends for dust control?
Yeah, they're gonna come in and take care of it on weekends.
Okay. They didn't do it last weekend.
I think that's why they're coming now.
Okay. I was gonna say it was a little scary because there was so much dust you couldn't actually see going down the road
Yeah, we visited with him and he said he's gonna have an employee come in and hit it throughout the day.
a couple times. Okay.
Well, we'll keep our eye on it though and
Okay.
make sure it's better this weekend.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Is there an ETA for when that'll all be done?
Any what?
An ETA for when all that'll be done?
He's estimating about 2 more weeks. It's solid rock. He's having to hammer every inch of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time.
Thanks, Dustin. Scott?
I'll just touch on one thing. I've been working with Chief Flowers and his staff, and I'm putting that camping ordinance together, so up in the South Hills. So it is getting pretty busy out there, and there's a lot of long term. So we're working together. Dustin's crew did a good job and put all of our signs up for the no shooting. You'll see it in your utility bill. We added some things in the utility bill, an extra piece of paper explaining it more in depth to all the residents, along with Gary's PCA. So there's been a lot of calls coming in for that. So we just added it into the utility bill to answer the question.
Great. Thank you, sir. Questions for Scott? Cody?
Chair, oh, it's on. We're doing well. Selena, I think she put the permits on sale this month. We've dumped 23 permits. We have 14 more in the queue, ready to be. There are a couple items away from being ready to purchase those. So I think she did a flash sale. Otherwise, I think we've talked about the Quinchett buildings getting the royal tie. We have that application in-house, as well as Aloe Clinic is going to take the other 2 remaining spaces, and Building 8 Harms is ready to go too. They're beyond ready. So aware of that, Mr. Mayor, and one issue to get over, and we'll see that one start. So any questions?
23. I want to announce this is the first Wednesday in forever that I have not signed a cemetery sale deed. Did we run out, Brad? It kind of blew me away because we've been signing so many of them. And today there was none. So I figured we ran out of plots. Okay. Anybody else got any questions, comments?
Ben wanted to take a few minutes.
Ben did?
Yeah.
Come on up, Nick.
Big game tonight. That's what he's joking about. Going on over at Snow Canyon High School.
Thank you for allowing me to come forward. One of the problems we're having, Mayor, and you know this as well as I, right on your street and used to be on our street on Vineyard. We have some people sometimes they're personal vehicles, sometimes they're business vehicles. In the case that you and I are talking about is right on your street, we have a couple of people that have a tendency to park their vehicles there and they stay there for weeks on. And we've talked about that I've talked with the police about that, and they said this is 70 hours thing. So if you come in and park your car on the street overnight, and 70 hours, that's okay. But we have some people that have parked their vehicles, business vehicles, on the street where you live, and it's been sitting there for 2 or 3 weeks, not moved. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm on Vineyard and we're coming down that street a lot faster than we really should. But sometimes there are people that are parking their cars there and they stay there for quite some time. And I'm wondering, that's what I got from the police, that was one of the rules is, 70 hours, you stay overnight, it's not a problem. But then if you stay there for all day, this week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think that's something that, I don't know who would look into that, but I'm not going to call people and convince them that we shouldn't do that, but it's for the safetyness of the children we have a lot of kids walking up and down on Vineyard, going to and from, and also on the street that you live on. We have a lot of kids running and going, and cars are parked on both sides of the road. You know, and they're there not just during the day, but and overnight, but for a while. So I would hope that I don't know how, you know, do the police go in our community? Do they come around and watch the streets and stuff like that and make notice of those things, or?
They would probably go talk to him if we pointed them out to him. Chief, is that right?
Yeah. I understand what he's talking about, but it's impossible for us to know when a vehicle parks there. But if a neighbor calls us and says, hey, we've got a problem area, we've cleaned those up. I get that. And you know, if a person comes, it's true that they park their car, they can leave it there for 72 hours. They only have to move it 6 inches. And there's some people that game that. We know that. And it's a horrible way to do that. But what we'll do is if we get a complaint, we will mark the vehicle and then we'll tag it. And then we have to use our judgment then on when do we just ticket it? Do we tow it? You know, it's kind of a bad neighbor kind of thing. But if we get the call, we do respond to that, and we will contact the people and say, and what we do now is we contact them personally. We just don't mark the vehicle. So if we know where the problem is, we're very responsive.
Sometimes just a note.
Yeah.
We'll say, please move your car at least once every day.
Are we talking right on Vineyard then?
Lava Flow and Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find out where it's at. And we will.
But that's not just that. Up on the heights, where my children live up there, there's some cars that park on there and they stay there. But, it doesn't bother us on your street because we're not up and down, but on Vineyard, where we have a bunch of kids riding their bicycles up and down that. And the speed limit's, 25 or something like that. Yeah, they're going a lot faster than that. But, with the cars parked there, it kind of makes a little bit. So as a member of this community for over 40 years, I want to thank each of you for your service. It's been a wonderful opportunity. I had an opportunity to serve on the planning and zoning a number of years ago, and I appreciate your service to do this because, of course, our kids are gone now, but we love this town. Being born here in this area, we love this town. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, anything else? I need a motion to adjourn. I almost forgot. You Brock?
All right.
Brock.
That's all right.
Party pooper. Go ahead.
League of Cities, mid-April, I've had 3 people respond that they're going to attend. I'll make sure everybody remember that. Let me know if you want to attend so I can get you registered. So.
Anything else? That's all?
Remember about Chicago first week of April for those who are attending.
Okay. All righty then. Now I can take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Denny, second by Ben. All in favor, say aye.